All right. So good morning. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Tina. We are in week 21, reading nutrition labels. And if you aren't familiar with Tuesday Talks with Tina, this is an intentional fitness focused self-care where we take inventory on our current habits and develop new habits and routines to help us live a healthier lifestyle. So we're going to go into some of our housekeeping. So I am a certified personal trainer, health coach. I'm also a business owner, currently serving in the Air National Guard, and I'm an advocate for women finding balance. So disclaimer, even though I am certified, I still would advise that you consult with your primary care physician prior to starting any new fitness routine. Funding disclaimer. Funding for this initiative is provided in part by Mission Ambition LLC and Teena Cathay Lifestyle and Fitness LLC. Also, we have many military women participating in this series, thanks to Michigan Department of Health and Human Services through the Community Mental Health Association of Michigan. They are providing additional funding for this initiative through a federal community mental health block grant and substance abuse prevention and treatment block grant supporting women better and strong. Few guidelines: please be respectful to others as well as yourself. No selling or soliciting. And then we ask that you don't judge anyone else, and yourself is included in that. All right, let's recap last week. So last week we talked about fad diets, talked about how to not fall for those quick fixes, and then how that yo-yo dieting affects your health in a negative way. And then also discuss the trending fad diets. So we picked about 3 or 4 of those, talked about them, and then talked about other alternatives as well to those diets. All right, so we have a lot packed in today's lesson, so we're going to dive right into it. We're going to get going with lesson 1, talking about breaking down the nutrition label. So nutrition labels are everywhere. They have them on the back of your cereals, your cookies, your pastas, your rice, pretty much anything that you have that's in a box or in a jar is going to have a nutrition label on it. So we're going to start off with serving size. That's the first thing you're going to see right at the top of your nutrition label. So you'll see it in bold letters, serving size. That's the first thing that you're going to want to look at on your nutrition label. So what you're also going to see on there, depending on the contents, you're going to see cups. It might be in pieces. So for example, I'll use Reese's because I just got some for their birthday. So it will say pieces, and that's letting you know how many pieces for that serving you can have as far as Reese's. And then there's also going to have a metric unit on it, and it's going to be in parentheses in grams. So those of you who are counting macros, most of the time you're probably doing grams or ounces. So that way you can put that item on your scale and get your gram count for that. So this number is going to reflect the amount people typically eat. This is not a recommendation at all. I know when I first started my health and wellness journey, I thought that was like the recommended thing that they're saying, like, hey, this is how much you should have, but it's also going to be a case by case on who you are, what your goals are. If you're measuring something out, and we talked about MyFitnessPal, and if you put it in MyFitnessPal and it says this is 200 calories, but you're only wanting to do 100 calories of that item, then you can scale it down, scale it up according to whatever your goals are. So this is not saying this is the serving size, this is how much you should have. This is just general. But this is an important one to pay attention to. We also have calories. So this is another big one to pay attention to. So this is going to show how much energy you will get from this food according to the serving size. So if you're not familiar with calories, calories is just energy. So again, when you're burning calories, that's energy out. When you're putting calories back in, as far as your food, that's putting energy back in. So paying attention to this number can help you achieve and maintain a healthy weight, physique for your height and weight as well. So the serving sizes is going to go off of, your calories are going to go off the serving size. So if the serving size says, I'll go back to the screen for this one, a serving size says 1 cup. So we're going to say this 1 cup of, I'll pick a fruit that's on the screen here. So 1 cup of pears is going to be 60 calories. So if you had 2 servings of that, that's going to be 120 calories if you had 2 servings. So that's how you do that. You have your serving size and you have your calories. So however many servings you have, you multiply that by your calories. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't necessarily need to do that too much with fruits and vegetables because they're very, very low on calories. You can fill your plate up with more food. It's usually done mostly with things like our pastas, our breads, and things like that. Did anyone have any questions on our serving sizes or calories so far? Good. I feel like these are pretty straightforward. These are the ones people usually pay attention to as well. Excuse me. All right, so now we're going on to nutrients. So this is going to show you how much energy you're going to get from this food according to the serving size. So the nutrients, as you'll see on your label, is going to be broken down in different categories. You have your sodium, cholesterol, carbohydrates. They also have, depending on the contents of the package, you'll have different things like the vitamins. So vitamin D, your calcium, irons, potassium. Depending on your health needs and whatnot, these are certain things that you probably will pay attention to. So let me see. For example, sodium is one that people should pay more attention to because a lot of times we get too much sodium in a day, and we're going to go into sodium later on during this talk. But keep in mind, you see how this, I don't know, this is just a general one. This is not an actual like food item, but just keep in mind that sodium says 850 milligrams. So write that number down just to kind of keep it in the top of your mind. So when we go to the sodium talk, I'm going to tell you how much you're supposed to have, what the recommended daily allowance is per day for sodium, so that you can go back and look at this and then compare those numbers as well. But yeah, this would be like the breakdown of your nutrients that you're going to have in different food items. And certain people are going to pay attention to certain things. I personally don't pay attention too much to sodium because I don't get a lot of sodium in my day because I don't put a lot of sodium salt in my food anyway, because everything else already has sodium in it. So it's not really necessary.
I had a question about the daily allowance. Where does that come from?
So that's a great question. So the daily allowance, everything says, I believe, 2,000. So that is your calorie needs, maybe higher or lower. So that is just a general number that was the FDA created and put on the labels. So that's not a suggestion. That's just an average general number that they put on there. So depending on your goals, you might be higher or lower than that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know that's a great question because I've always wondered that too. Like, what is it saying that I should have 2,000 calories a day? But depending on your height, weight, age, sex, your physical level, it might go up or down. And then I do want to know, I didn't put the link on here, but if you go to My Plate under the resources tab and go to My Plate Plan, then you can put in your information, and then you can get your estimated calorie needs. So if you want to try that, that's another source to kind of get your calorie count.
What was the last thing you said? You said My Plate resources and then My Plate recommendations. What was it, the last word you said?
Yeah, so choosemyplate.gov, resources,
Mhm.
my plate plan.
Plan. Okay. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
you're
I don't
welcome.
know why I tuned out at that last word. I just
No worries. All right, so we're going to go into our journal prompt for this first lesson. When grocery shopping, what part of the label will you focus on the most? So even if you're looking at the things that you have in your kitchen cupboards right now, what are the things that you focus on the most? Is there something that you're needing to focus on the most because your nutrition needs are different, or is there something that you're needing less of so you're having to pay attention? It could be sodium, it could be more fiber, potassium, whatever that is for you. Start jotting that down, and then we'll come back and discuss that as well. About another minute. All right. When grocery shopping, what part of the label will you focus on the most? Who would like to share? Carmencita, you unmuted, but I can't hear you. I see that you're talking though. No, I can't hear you. I'm reading your lips underneath your mask. I can't hear you though.
well, I put down sodium because I do have to watch my sodium intake. Oh, yep. Those are the two I picked too, Carmesita, sodium and sugar. And then I also put down bad fats because I just found out that I have a fatty liver, which I'm not surprised at 60. I mean, from what I understood, most people, most Westerners have a fatty liver because we have a high fat diet and we eat a lot of produced or manufactured foods. So I guess that leads me into wanting to watch now the fats. And I never can keep these straight. And maybe you can help me like with a trick or something for the monosaturated and all of the different fats. I never know. I never can remember which ones the good ones and the bad ones.
Got it. So we are going to go into that probably in this next actually yeah, in the next lesson we're going to go into the fats.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, so let's get into it. So nutrients to get less of. This is not to say avoid them like the plague, don't ever eat them, throw everything in your refrigerator like this out. It's just saying get less of. probably about not weeks, but like a few months back. Wow, I can't believe I can say that. A few months back, we talked about green light stoplight foods. So that means green, yellow, red. Green, eat most often, yellow, sometimes red, rarely. So this would be that red. Eat it rarely. It's not saying don't eat it at all, but just be mindful of it, eat it in moderation. So here's that to answer your question, Sue. So saturated fat, you want to get less of this. This is a type of fat with certain chemical properties that are usually solid at room temperature. And it usually comes from animal products. So on the right-hand side is going to be your list of things that you want to get less of. So there's your butter, your whipping cream, whole fat milk, cheeses, yogurts, cacao, dark chocolate, coconuts, fattier cuts of beef, lambs, porks, and your palm oil. So again, I'm looking at this list. For me personally, I use butter every so often when I'm like cooking certain things. So it's like I have it, I use it, but I'm not using it every single day. Same thing with cacao, like dark chocolate. I have dark chocolate on hand for when I have that chocolate craving. So get that good fix. But again, not eating it all the time. And then it's good to eat leaner meats, cuts of meats. So again, your fattier cuts of meat, your beefs, your lambs, your porks, you don't want to eat that all the time. Kind of have that in moderation as well. I know for us, our household, we probably have beef probably 2 or 3 times a month, just because there are some benefits from eating red meat, those fattier cuts. So yeah, we do have that every so often as well.
I never realized, maybe this is the only one that I need to like focus on for right now because I eat a lot of coconut oil.
Oh,
I
do you
didn't
use it for
know.
cooking?
Um, well, kind of, but I put a tablespoon on my popcorn every night.
Okay.
And I used to like put it all over my body, like from head to toe. And
Mm-hmm.
it was making a mess of my clothes because it would be liquidy when I was warm. And then I pull my jeans out and I could stand them up in a corner from all the coconut oil. And I just thought that that was good oil.
It is in moderation. It's very clogging because it can be a liquid, but it's also a solid at room temperature. So this is I cook with this ever so often. It depends on what I'm cooking because it does hold good flavor depending on what you're cooking, and like on your popcorn, I'm sure it's good on your popcorn. But maybe try to cut that in half. So then that, especially if you're trying to cut back on fats, this would be one to cut back on and not have it every single day.
You mean no butter and no coconut oil? The reason I was doing coconut oil.
Not say no, but not every night.
Right, right, right. Okay. I really don't need it on there, but I'm used to
Hmm.
it. So yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, some more ingredients to get less of. Sodium. So remember that I believe it was 850 milligrams that we wrote down earlier. So this is the recommended daily amount according to the FDA. Remember the Food Drug Association. So adults are recommended to have 2,300 milligrams per day. That's 1 teaspoon of table salt. So that small spoon, or if you have like the measuring cups, that's like about that much right there. Not a lot, not a lot at all. So if we take that 2,300 divided by 850 or subtract it, excuse me. So say you had 2 servings of whatever that was. So that's 1,700. So I'm going to take 2,300 minus 1,700. You would only have 600 milligrams left in your day for sodium. And a lot of times we might get that serving in one sitting, in one meal. So that's not a lot of sodium. So if you are eating something that the contents have high sodium in it, kind of be mindful of that, because then that could be what's hindering your weight loss. It could be what is promoting that water retention or swelling, because you might be consuming too much sodium. And it could also interfere with medications if you're getting too much sodium. So if that's something that you're needing to be mindful of and watch out for, just keep in mind that 2,300 milligrams is the daily recommended amount. So you can get less than that, but try not to go over that. And it's very easy to go over that in one sitting or maybe a couple of servings.
There are different types of sodium too, and this is one of the questions that I had too for my doctor that I need to ask him. The last year or two, he has had me like pour on the mineral salt because I need the minerals. And so, I buy the Himalayan or the Celtic sea salt.
Okay.
And so, and I also saw a special on Morton's salt. Years ago, it was recommended that I did like, I think it was a quarter or a half a teaspoon every day when I was in medical weight loss clinic.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the low sodium. Oh, I was going to say Lipton, but it's not Lipton. Morton's. It's a low sodium Morton's. So
Yes.
I don't understand how that works, how the sodium works in our system and the different kinds. Do you understand that?
I don't know. I'm gonna write that down and I can do some research on it. But I know that there's that, like you mentioned, that pink Himalaya salt, there's sea salt, there's kosher salt, there's table salt. So there's all different types of salt. Just from the top of my head, knowing what I know about like sugars, sugar is sugar. It just depends on how much and where it comes from, because some sugar is man-made, some is derived from other sources like honey. But that's a good question, because I'm not sure how the body processes it differently, depending on if it even matters to our body, depending on the sugar that we get.
Yeah, because
But that's a great question. I'm gonna write that one down.
yeah, it's interesting because I have to really watch MSG. I can totally, like, as soon as I put it in my mouth, my hands swell.
Mm.
I can feel my rings getting tighter and everything. So yeah, I'd be interested to find that out. Himalayan, I'm trying to spell Himalayan. All right.
Yeah, I wrote that one down. How does the body process different types of sugars? Yeah, because does it even matter? Because then it could be one of those things to where, some are jacked up, the prices are jacked up higher, and it's
Right.
essentially, the color's just different, where it come from different, the company, all that.
Right. And I watched a documentary about how salt is processed. So I think that has something to do with, because they started putting iodine in salt years ago because people in a certain country were getting these huge goiters. And that's the only thing that they detected was lacking in that area. And
Was
so
the
they
iodine.
started making it with iodine, which helped the thyroid and helped reduce the goiters.
Oh,
Anyways, just food for thought.
I see what you did there. Awesome. So, sugars. We talked about the sodium. Sugars added during production. So if you're getting foods that don't have labels on them, which will most likely be your whole foods, the things, the sugars in the packaged foods, these are the names that are going to be on there if you don't see flat out sugar, SUGAR. It comes in all different types of names. Some of them we can't even pronounce. But there's the brown sugar, the corn sweetener, corn syrup. You got your fruit juice concentrates, high fructose corn syrup. I know that's one that they always put in our face all the time to avoid and stay away from. Honey. And that's not to say that these are bad sugars, but it's just letting you know that, say, for example, I buy the kids, they like apple juice. So I try to get with either no sugar added or as minimal as possible, because they'll add more sugar in addition to what's already in that fruit. So fruits already have the natural fructose in it. It's just the natural sugars, but then they'll add additional sugars. Maybe it could be like brown sugar or corn syrup and whatnot. Let me see the note on that one. So what I wanted to point out was the OSE ones, OSE. So you'll see these a lot in the ingredients list. So after, when you get down to the bottom of your nutrition label, you'll see it. It'd be really fine print. You probably need to bust out the microfine, the glasses to read it, because they put it very, very small at the bottom. You'll see some of these names here. You see like dextrose, fructose, glucose, lactose, maltose, sucrose. These, anything that ends in OSE is going to be a sugar. And again, a lot of times the additional ones on there, you probably can't even pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be putting in your body anyway, right? Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the next slide that I wanted to show you guys too. So more on sugar. So this is what you'll see on the labels. And here's the breakdown. So if you want to screenshot this page, or if you want to write it down, you'll see these terms that I have underlined on those packages. So if you see sugar-free, that means there is less than 0.5 grams of sugar per serving. And it contains contains no ingredient that is a sugar. That doesn't really make sense the way that's written out. So just pay attention to the first part. We have reduced sugar or less sugar. So you'll see that. That means there's at least 25% less sugars per serving compared to the regular standard serving of whatever that item is. Then you have no added sugars or without added sugars. So here's that, what I was just saying. So no sugars or no sugar containing ingredient is added during processing. So that means it's just the natural sugars that's in here. Nothing additional from that previous slide was added into that product. And then you'll have no sugar. So not defined or allowed as a claim on food labels. So then it might not have any sugar at all, or it might be extremely low as far as what they need to report. So these are all good terms I'm sure you guys have seen on labels. It's kind of like the low fat, no fat, but this is the breakdown of the labels for sugar. Anyone have questions about the saturated fats and then the sugars on the labels? Perfect.
That'll do it.
All right, so we're going to go into our next journal prompt. So taking a look at these labels and what's on them and whatnot, what are your thoughts about nutrition labels? So do you think using it will help you reach your goals? Why or why not? So just jot down your thoughts. Even if there's something that you've been doing, if it has been helping you from paying attention to this, jot that down as well. And then we'll come back and talk about it.
I guess it's just
Alrighty.
you and me, kid.
Yeah. All right. You ready to share, Sue? What you got?
Yeah. I just put down, I've watched labels for over 30 years. My son's going to be 30 this year. And um, especially when I was pregnant with him. But even, I mean, I knew about the labels. I didn't necessarily understand all of them, just like, even today, there's still so much that I don't understand, and things have changed through the years too. But I said yes, they've definitely helped me determine what foods to stay away from, and helped me maintain my health goals because they help me stay accountable. And it's, to me, it's a learning tool, you know,
Hmm.
and I think it helps companies as much as they, um, you know, as much as they are true to fact. I don't know, but I have to believe and trust it, you know,
Yeah.
so.
And I do want to know, speaking of that, like being like true and 100% fact, when they do, there's a process that they go through for testing, like how much calories a food has. They put it in this microwave type thing, and then it goes through a process, and it kind of lets them know, like, from the breakdown of like the molecules or whatnot. I think they do like a heating process, and that's how they get their calorie count from for each food. But that's also not 100% accurate. So, um, just keeping that in mind when you count your calories or you do your reading back a nutrition label. It's not all going to be 100%, give or take. I would say give or take 10 plus or minus 10 for that number. It could be more. But I know I remember reading that the process that they take to do that, to find out the calorie count. And it's not, even when they do it, it's not even that accurate. Same thing when we weigh ourselves. It's not 100% accurate, depending on how we do it. But it's good that you're paying attention to that, and you're being mindful of it, and you're aware.
I wish my husband and son felt that same way.
Oh, for
They
themselves or towards
challenge
you?
me. They challenge me because of money, how much more better foods typically cost.
Yeah.
Uh, and my son is always like, "Oh, mom, why do you always buy the butter with no salt in it?" I said, "Because I don't need any added salt to my diet.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years older than you, son. And and you and your dad are obese. I'm sorry, but they are. They're that much overweight, and it's very hard to be around, to keep my dog thin too around them, because they just think that food's just a free for all. And my husband's getting better though. I wish I understood too, because my training has taught me that when you're trying to shed pounds, you have to shed the crap, or most of the crap, in order for your system to cleanse, and you almost need to do a detox. But anyways, who am I?
No, so you're absolutely right. Like it is a whole process, and it takes time because your body has to start releasing and whatnot. And I think you were on last week when we talked about what happens when you yo-yo diet. It's like your body, your fat cells essentially get larger. So it's harder for you to lose weight every time you yo-yo, because your body is going through so much stress, like that up and down, up and down. Um, it's like a good pair of yoga pants. Once you stretch those out too much, they're not going to snap back like they used to. So it's harder for that to happen. So it's all a process, and it's challenging for those who think that they don't need to change anything. And then for those of us who live with people like that, it's more challenging for you to stay on your A game and continue to keep yourself healthy, because your environment. It's definitely a struggle. It's probably, because I can attest to that, it's an uphill battle, and it's a daily, meal by meal, day by day thing that you have to constantly focus on and be aware of. It's a challenge, but again, follow on those accountability partners, those people in your life that can kind of give you that encouragement and let you know, like, hey, keep going, you're doing great, even though you have those people around you. And those are most of the time your loved ones that are on the other side and don't get it or understand and don't care. So
I like the yoga pants analogy. That was really good because I'm just thinking like I was trying to figure out my husband wanted to lose 65 pounds before he was 65. And that's in November. And I know I'm like, I gotta stay out of his business. I gotta let him fight his fight. But and I've been this like wellness nutrition vomiter on my husband and son for years. So they're just like, nah, go away, I'll do things my way. But they just like they'll do really good all week and then they just eat a bunch of crap all weekend and drink, and I'm like, you just don't get it. Your body is not gonna figure out what you think is okay, I don't know.
well, keep doing what you're doing. People will see what you're doing and eventually they'll catch on and they'll say, oh, hey, maybe it does work. So that's just all you can do. Just keep doing you. People are watching and they'll catch on eventually.
That's right. And I got you too. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, so our last lesson, shopping on the inside versus outside of the store. So we all know shopping on the inside of the store is definitely different than shopping on the outside, right? So you're going to have your fresh refrigerated things on the outside of the store, right? And then you're going to have your packaged items, stuff that's in a bag, stuff that has like that long list of ingredients that's probably like 7 to 14 names long is going to be on the inside. And I want to touch on that really quickly too. So the ingredient list, the smaller it is, the better it is. And I put quotes around better as well. So the longer the list, the more crap junk that's going to be in it. And then also the stuff that's in the ingredient list, the things are in the first line at the top or first, that's what's going to be mostly in it. So for example, I'll name 3 things. You have water, honey, and sodium. So water is going to be the first thing, so that you're going to have more water in that item. The second thing you're going to have is honey. And then third, you're going to have that sodium. So just take a look at that when you read your ingredients. The things that are at the top that are more prevalent, you're going to have more of that. The closer you get to the bottom, the less amount of milligrams or grams is going to be of that particular item. So for the shopping from the inside or the outside, again, your more refrigerated items is what you want to go for. You want to try to stay more so on the outside of the store. Less labels or little to no labels at all. You're going to have more of your whole foods, your plants, your nutritious foods that are what your body is wanting more of. And those foods are going to be closer to their original state. So if you like shopping my head right now, when I look at that outside, I'm seeing whole carrots, I'm seeing kale, I'm seeing bok choys, I'm seeing like your gingers, you see all those roots and whatnot, your potatoes, your fruits, you see your strawberries, things like that. So those things you might not see those, you probably won't see nutrition labels on those, but then you'll see them in their whole original state. And it's more cleaner, it's better energy. That's what we want to start with first. And then after that, we fill our plates or our kitchens, refrigerators with those items, and we can go into the middle and whatnot for other items. So when you shop, just kind of think like that. Try to go on the outside more so than you're on the inside.
Can you explain that last statement? I don't understand what that means. Intake cleaner energy and more nutrient. Okay.
So energy is calories. So remember earlier, your energy in, energy out. So I'm replacing the word energy with calories with the word energy. That's all. Because think about it too. Think about, because food is energy. So think about what you eat. So if I eat a pack of cookies, I'm gonna get only so much energy. Then I'm gonna crash. Then I'm gonna be hungry again, and I might get that high and then that low. But if you eat something that's more nutritious, it's gonna fuel your body more, and you'll have more better energy for a longer period of time. Thanks for your question, Sue.
Did you ever hear that eating an apple as opposed to drinking a cup of coffee in the morning will actually give you more energy?
I haven't heard that, but drinking water first thing or anything outside of coffee would be more beneficial. I can see that because the energy, like coffee, is gonna kind of give you that jolt, and then your body's gonna eventually get used to it, which I'm trying to do that now. I made sure today I'm not having coffee, and I have not had any. I just made sure I eat clean meals, drinking my water for my energy. And so far so good. Yesterday, I said only Tuesdays and Wednesdays because those are my really, really early days. I'm going to have coffee. And I used to do coffee like every day. So now I'm not doing it every day. But this morning was a struggle. I was like, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't breathe on me. But here we are at noon. I'm good. I haven't had caffeine.
I'm going to turn you on to a tizzy.
Okay.
It's a detox tea bag with a green tea. It's kind of an energy drink, but it's more nutritious. It passed the test on my nutritionist. He said, yeah, this doesn't seem bad, you know.
Okay.
And I notice that when I run out of it, I notice the difference. So it does give you a little energy, but it's more stabilized. You know, it's not like this high jump and then the crash.
Yeah.
So I'll bring you some this weekend
Okay.
at the conference. You can try a tizzy. We just need hot water.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right, our last and final journal prompt. Are you going to change your shopping or eating habits based on what you know about labels? So think about what you're already doing. If there's something that piqued your interest today that we talked about that you probably wasn't paying attention to before, jot that down and we'll come back and talk about it. All right. Who would like to share?
Well, I just put, yes, I'm going to change because I'll be watching saturated fats. I'm kind of glad. I'm just going to focus on that one and I'll worry about the other ones some other time because that seemed to be the worst. I'll watch that more closely and limit my butter and coconut oil intake as well.
Nice. And like I said, limit, not cut out, because we don't want to just we don't need to cut stuff out. Let's just limit it, moderation. Carmencita said, definitely changing to being more observing what I pick. Good deal. And being more consistent. Excellent. Yes, consistency is definitely going to be key to everything we do. Consistent movement, just consistent mindfulness. And it's not to say consistency does not equal perfection. That is not at all what that means. There's going to be days where you're just not at 100, operating at 100%. It might only be like 80. Sometimes it could be 50. But as long as you recognize and realize, where you fell short that day and just correct it either in the next moment or the next day. It's like no harm, no foul. Don't hold yourself, don't beat yourself up about it. So just focus on trying to be consistent. That's what is going to promote those goals that you guys are looking for and whatnot. Thank you both for sharing. Good stuff today. Hope you guys do well with your nutrition labels moving forward, and then share that information with someone else you love. I can tell you for real, even though people might tease you about it and they might not be on that same level that you're at now, there's people in my life since I've started like my health and wellness journey that used to tease me for eating tofu and all these kinds of things. And now they're like, oh, like I've eaten this, or they'll call me and text me and let me know, like just randomly, oh, I had picked up this from the grocery store, or I went to a health food store. So people are watching. They might tease and joke in the beginning, but eventually they'll catch on. All right, so great job today, ladies. Good discussion. Our word of the week this week is renew. That means give fresh life or strength to, revive. So going into spring, this is a great word. I want you guys to renew whatever it is you're doing, revive it, freshen it up, take that inventory, and go forth throughout the week with that confidence and whatnot, and know that you guys are doing the right things. Again, it's not about perfection, it's about that consistency. And then our challenge of the week is practice reading those nutrition labels on the foods that you have at home. So go in your cabinets and then check out those ingredient lists. See what is actually in your foods and whatnot. Maybe do a little Google search. That could be interesting if you do that. And then next week, we're going to talk about embracing your unique self. All right, ladies. So I will see you guys next week at the same time. Invite a sister friend. And then also I will be getting those videos up, probably most likely like after we finish recording, and I'll just be cranking them out and editing and posting them. So then you guys have those throughout the summer as well to, touch back on. So other than that, awesome work today. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Yep. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Bye for now.
Bye.